Warm greetings from the High 10. It is Everyday Shenanigans on this Friday, August 28, 2020. This is in relation to Mr. Blake, who was shot Sunday in Kenosha, Wisconsin. If you need verification for the storyline, please log on to CNN. It is Lindsay. Jacob Blake woke up and asked his dad, "Why did they shoot me so many times?" A heavily medicated Jacob Blake, paralyzed from the waist down and shackled to a hospital bed, clutched his father's hand and wept after gaining consciousness. "Why did they shoot me so many times?" he asked Jacob Blake Sr. "Baby, they weren't supposed to shoot you at all," the father responded, recalling the exchange during the interview with CNN's Allison Camerota on New Day. Jacob Blake, a black Wisconsin resident, was shot 7 times in the back by a white police officer who tried to detain him this week in Kenosha. Blake's children, ranging in age 3 to 8 years, watched the shooting from inside a car their father was stepping into as the officers opened fire. The oldest boy, who was supposed to celebrate a birthday the day his father was shot, also had questions. "Papa, why did they shoot my daddy in the back?" Jacob Blake Sr. recalled the boy asking him. "Where's Daddy?" Blake, 29, is hospitalized while was toast, and family members said the sight of him tethered to the bed was heartbreaking. Friday afternoon, an attorney for Blake, Patrick Caffrey, told CNN that he was no longer restrained. "Why do they have this cold steel on my son's ankle?" Blake Sr. asked Friday morning. "He can't get up. He couldn't get up if he wanted to." Kenosha County Sheriff's Department spokesman Sergeant David Wright on Friday explained why Blake was handcuffed to the bed. Jacob Blake has felony warrants for his arrest for crimes he committed prior to the shooting incident. Anyone with his classification level that we're guarding would be treated in this manner. Calls to Blake's attorneys Friday were not immediately returned. At the time, Sunday's violent encounter with police, Blake had a warrant out for his arrest in connection to a domestic abuse call earlier this year. A dispatcher appeared to warn responding officers to Blake's warrant, referring to family trouble at the residence in Kenosha, and an alert at this address for a 99. The police code 1099 can refer to a wanted suspect. It's unclear whether those officers knew about why there was an outstanding warrant against Blake when they arrived at the residence. On May 3rd, Blake unlawfully entered the home and sexually assaulted a woman in her bedroom after leaving with her vehicle, according to the criminal complaint obtained by CNN. That warrant has been vacated, Cafferty, Blake's attorney, told CNN Friday afternoon. Cafferty also said that law enforcement is no longer guarding Blake. Earlier Friday, Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers said he couldn't imagine why Blake was handcuffed in the hospital. "I would have no personal understanding why that would be necessary," Evers told reporters. "I would hope that we would be able to find better way to help him in recovering. That seems counterintuitive. It seems to be bad medicine." The Frost Tort Hospital, where Blake is being treated, deferred CNN's questions to the Wisconsin Department of Justice. Kenosha Police and the District Attorney's Office did not immediately respond to a request for comment. There's no explanation for it, Blake's family attorney Benjamin Crump said. "It follows a pattern of deliberate indifference and excessive force. My son has not been afforded the rights of a human," Jacob Blake Sr. said. "My son is fighting for his life." Jacob Blake Sr. said his son has recounted what happened in bits and pieces. Crump said Blake had several surgeries and suffered severe injuries, including damage to his valves, internal organs, bullet fragments in his spinal cord, and a shattered vertebrae. "My son is fighting for his life," the eldest Blake said. "He's holding on." Jacob Blake Sr. and his son touched his arms and stroked his face. He tells his father he loves him. At one point, they discussed Blake's paralysis, and the younger man said he wanted a dog. "We'll get you a dog, baby," the father responded. Okay, mercy. Jacob Blake Sr. called a conversation he had this week with Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden and running mate Kamala Harris, comparing it speaking to my uncle and one of my sisters. "They were comforting, so comforting that you almost forgot how the situation was really playing out," he said, referring to Biden and Harris and calling them the president and the vice president. Amen. Her added, "President Biden kept telling me his own issues with his family, that he identified with what I'm going through. I didn't have to keep telling him. He knew. I felt like he knew. He felt like they knew what was going on, and they didn't act like they were in a hurry to go anywhere. They spent time with us." After President Donald Trump had tried to reach out to the family, Jacob Blake Sr. said that's a negative. The eldest Blake, who recalled his father's participation in the civil rights movement, expressed gratitude for the wave of protests among Americans athletes this week, from the National Basketball Association to the National Football League and Major Baseball, but he voiced opposition to violence and looting in the wake of police brutality and racism. "That's not going to make my son get up out of the bed and walk," he said. "Only God could get him up out of the bed." A jersey signed by the members of the Milwaukee Bucks brought a smile to his son's face this week, but Jacob Blake Jr. has not spoken to his son about the unrest and violence on the streets of Kenosha or anything that could set back his recovery. No setbacks, baby, he told his son this week. No setbacks. I got you, Pop, Blake said. This is the version from the investigators. Bystanders captured the shooting on cell phone video and shared the footage widely on social media, turning the lakeside city of Kenosha into the scene of nightly protests against police brutality. Kenosha Police Officer Winston Chesky fired into Blake's back on Sunday while he was trying to enter a vehicle with his 3 children watching from the back seat. In his mind's eye, he just wanted to get his kids out of harm's way. But before he could get them out of the car, he said he was just counting shots. Blake's father said. He said he was counting them. I guess he lost consciousness around number 4 or 5. Local officials have not discussed many details about Blake's shooting, but are addressing the nightly protests in Kenosha, especially after 2 people were killed and a third was injured. A 17-year-old was arrested Wednesday and is facing multiple charges, murder charges in the shooting, death, and injuries. On Wednesday, state investigators offered their first version of Sunday's events, but with gaping holes in the timeline. Goes kind of like this. A woman called the police. The boyfriend was present but wasn't supposed to be on the premises. Wisconsin Department of Justice Division Criminal Investigation said. In a police call, dispatchers named Blake asked the person there he isn't supposed to be there, and that he took complaints keys, refused to leave. The dispatcher later explained she doesn't have more details because the caller was uncooperative. Officers had attempted to arrest Blake and used a taser in a failed attempt to stop him. The DCI said he walked around his vehicle, opened the driver's side door, and leaned forward, the agency said. Chesky has been with the department for 7 years. No other officers fired their weapon. Blake admitted he had a knife in his possession, and law enforcement agencies said they recovered a knife from the driver's side floorboard of his vehicle, the agency said. State investigators did not indicate why police moved to arrest Blake, whether he brandished or threatened to use the knife, or why Chesky shot so many times into Blake's back. It does not mention his children in the vehicle or other members standing just feet away. I'm not going to go on with this a little bit longer, but basically, his attorney told CNN that Blake did not have a weapon in the car, and just a little bit more. So it's up to your interpretation. But what I like to say is I don't condone the looting and vandalizing people's property. But as I say, you don't have control over people. People will do what they want to do. As far as all the nasty comments on social media about Black Lives Matter, first of all, the Democratic Party didn't start that. People need to speak on what they know. There is no warrant for shooting a person 7 times when you had access to the person before they even reached the car. Perhaps he was going to his car to retrieve his children. We don't know because we weren't there. We don't always know what the police knows before getting to the scene. Did they actually know that there was a warrant for his arrest for a sexual assault? As you see now, that a sexual assault, alleged sexual assault, has been vacated. So did the girl drop the charges? Did they not have evidence? See, those are things you need to know before making comments about it's okay to shoot a person 7 times. You get information, and then you find out the information isn't accurate. So now he doesn't even have that sexual assault. And as you see, they're also saying in this article that when the girl called the police to say he's on the premises, she wasn't cooperative. So now that lets you know, then why would she even call the police? And this is the same lady who filed the sexual assault back in May 3rd. See, sometimes what you think you know, you don't know, because you assume things from your own ideology. Sometimes it is best to wait to get all the facts before forming an opinion about people in general. You all don't know people. You don't know what it's like being African American, what it's like to walk this earth 400 years and still be ostracized, profiled, meddled with, poked with, prodded, shot, killed by your own race, the police. Stop saying crime is crime, hate is hate. Stop comparing black on black crime, to blue on black crime. Hate is hate. Malicious is malicious. Drop your comments below. Thanks for joining me. This is Everyday Shenanigans. Mask up.